So branding is so much more about feeling than we give it credit for. People say that, especially at a small business level, people like to think that it is just this convenient little pack of logos, fonts, and colors, and maybe some other designy things, because that's easy. That's an easy thing to put on an invoice or to put on a to-do list. But branding is so much deeper. And if all you're getting from a professional is the Band-Aid of logo, fonts, colors, surface design update, then that's not brand. It's graphic design, which is still great and needed, but it's not the same thing. Big businesses, huge, multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar corporations, they know this. I do a 2-part series about Walmart and Target.
Okay.
Because at the most essential level, the most simplified level, they do exactly the same thing. They sell products to people in retail and e-commerce settings. Exactly the same thing. But no one would ever confuse the experience of Target and Walmart. The lighting is different. The way things are laid out, is completely different. Everything feels different. And that is the essence of branding. The logo could be anything. The colors could be anything. It doesn't really matter. But the heartbeat and the core and the way that these big businesses with access to multi-million dollar agencies, the way that they approach branding is the understanding that we as business owners are endeavoring as human beings to connect with the emotions of other human beings, because people purchase based on emotion. So that's what it is. You have to know the emotion. You have to know the emotion inside of your business, and you have to know the emotions of the people you want to bring in and how those things connect.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we're like-minded on it, because we will get on a call and we could say it's going to be 30 minutes and it can run for an hour easily, because we can talk about these things. I'm in full agreement that it's more than just logos and colors and fonts. Those are things that allow people to have that visual recognition. But what really allows people to be able to make that purchase is that emotional connection. I want to say it's over 90% of purchases are based on emotional decisions. So if they don't feel a connection, then what they're basing it on are probably going to be things that aren't going to be flattering to you as the business owners. It could be, well, they were the cheapest option. That's not really what you're going for. So this is why knowing everything beyond the colors is something that actually falls under the guides of understanding brand. And I know one of the things that we can also talk about pivots, because sometimes we'll have a great idea and then we learn more about our audience. And then we have to do what we'll call a pivot, is just make adjustments, fine tune what we're doing and the messaging and things that we're putting out there to make it easier for people to relate and to really get down to the brass tacks of what it is that we want to be able to cover. So I know at one point you were using brand therapy, but then you actually made the change, and I believe it's brand alignment now.
It is. And I'm so grateful that you brought that up, because it's such a great example of exactly what you're saying. I used to call my service brand therapy, which is really what it is. That is the heart of what it is. That's how I show up. I am not a licensed therapist. I'm a brand expert, but I would talk about the emotional mess inside of business, the fear, the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of messing things up, all of the things that keep us small and keep us from making big decisions and big moves forward that could totally change the game of our business. My business and my brand can only grow as much as I am able to grow. So that's what I would talk about, the emotional stuff. And it's that goes for the business and for the business owner. What's interesting is the realization that it's really hard to get people to refer their friends to any kind of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a great conversation with a colleague of mine. Her name is Maura Navin. She's actually been a client of mine as well, and I just love her. And she said to me, Meg, you're bigger than a bread box. You don't have to put the details of all of the emotional stuff into the title. You know it's there. And the way that you show up in your marketing and in your brand speaks to the kindness and the empathy and the emotion. So you don't need it in the name. So I pivoted to brand alignment, because that's a lot easier to refer a friend to, that doesn't have the emotional charge, made it easier for people to sign up to it because they had a better sense of what it was. Even though therapy was a very appropriate word for what it is, It wasn't appropriate for how to market it.
That is a very fair point. And there's several things I want to unpack in that because there's going to be so many different people that can pull something from that and recognize where they're at in it. One, it's very personal. This is people's babies. This is their child. This is the thing that they hatched in their mind and their mind's eye, and they were trying to figure out how to be able to bring it out to the world. So it's very personal. And you're opening it up to the world to ask them their opinion. And you're going to get opinions back. So how could it not be personal? How could it not be something that requires a certain level of therapy to be able to navigate? Because what you see in your mind, there is a certain level of frustration if you don't have your branding right, that people don't see what's so clear in your mind. Like, why can't you see it? I know it works. And this is where it goes back to what your why might be, because your why is really going to speak to, why you decided to go down this path. And it could be, we've talked about it, there's different reasons people start a business. Some people could have had a great experience and they want to have other people enjoy that experience. Some had awful experiences and they want to help people avoid it. Those two alone, if you had an awful experience and you want to help someone avoid it and you see someone doing something and you know where it's going, it can be incredibly frustrating to watch it happen. It's like a car accident. You're hitting your horn and everything, and they're going, who's the crazy person hitting their horn? And looking at you instead of looking at the road to see what you're trying to warn them about. It's very much that. So I think it's an important thing. Secondly, I will add, phrasing is everything, because yes, we are getting better as a society to be able to think about therapy as something that you can use and is beneficial to you. But I know at my age and when being younger, therapy was not something that you told people that you would do. So there's still that negative connotation to it. So I know that can be something that can rub people, not necessarily the wrong way, but it can just give them some pause. I realized I used to use audit as one of the words that I would use. And my mind, when I hear audit, is tax audit. And who wants to be able to have that kind of scrupulation of someone going through over a fine tooth comb of everything that you're doing and then paying for the privilege? So I realized I can't use audit. I use words like assessment. So when we talk about branding, so much of it is about not just the personal side of things, but it's also understanding the personal side for the people that you're inviting yourself into their lives. So you have to make sure that there's something there that connects you so that they trust you enough to be able to share the information and trust the information that they get back. So I think it's really, really important what you were able to break down, and being bigger than a bread box. It is knowing that there's more to it, and not just being someone that can talk about it, but you're actually showing it in everything that you're doing.
Yeah. And it's interesting to note that when I made that change, I went from brand therapy to brand alignment. I instantly got sales. Okay. It was like people were ready. People were waiting, but they needed the change. And this is where it comes to brand, because we can name things all kinds of stuff. What was important was my confidence in sharing the message. The heart of everything that I do comes back to confidence and self-awareness. So in that moment, I needed to go back to the foundation of what my brand is. I needed to remember not the being hung up on wanting it to be called this thing, not being hung up on small details that seemed really important to me in the moment. I had to go back to the foundation of who I am and what I do. And what I am here for most is to help people. So if this name that felt important to me is getting in the way of my helping people, then it's not on brand.